I'm Joe Lample. When I created Growing a Greener World, I had one goal: to tell stories of everyday people, innovators, entrepreneurs, forward-thinking leaders who are all, in ways both big and small, dedicated to organic gardening and farming, lightening our footprint, conserving vital resources, protecting natural habitats, making a tangible difference for us all. They're real, they're passionate, they're all around us. They're the game changers who are literally growing a greener world and inspiring the rest of us to do the same. Growing a Greener World, it's more than a movement, it's our mission. For some, urban agriculture might seem like a new idea, but for the people of GreensGrow Farm, it's been their work and way of life for over 10 years. What was once a galvanized steel plant was eventually abandoned as an industrial brownfield. Hardly the kind of place most people would think of for growing fresh fruits and vegetables. But then again, most people aren't Mary Seaton Corboy. About 3 miles north from the downtown skyscrapers of Philadelphia and tucked within densely packed row houses lies a pioneering urban farm, providing locally grown food for a community that often has little, while managing to survive as a profitable business in the process. Meet Mary Seaton Corboy. She's the co-founder and chief farmhand of GreensGrow Farm. Before that, she was a professional chef and took care of an estate. In the 10 short years she's poured her life into this place, her impact now reaches far beyond this 1 acre lot. She was even named on Organic Style magazine's top 50 environmental power list in 2004. Mary, 10 years ago, you're looking at this abandoned piece of property in downtown Philadelphia, basically an industrial brownfield.
Yeah.
And you're thinking urban farming. What's going through your mind?
Obviously not enough. There was a lot of thinking that should have happened that didn't happen. And ironically, that has been one of the reasons that we've been able to succeed, I think, is that we didn't have such a concrete idea, no pun intended, in our head of what an urban farm was going to look like, because there weren't any urban farms for us to look at for a guide.
Yeah.
So we kind of had to invent what we were doing from the start, and it's, we've had some success, and we're happy about where we are right now. We're here, that's the most important thing.
And you've come a long way, but once you decide to get into this concept of urban farming, you don't just come and plant into the soil that's here, because basically this soil was rather contaminated when you found it.
That's right. This was a brownfield, an EPA Superfund site, so there really wasn't any soil. We had to bring all of the soil onto the site later. When we started just as a hydroponics commercial operation where we sold only to restaurants in Philadelphia. So there really wasn't this retail component. There wasn't the growing all of the different vegetables and the flowers component when we got started. That's been part of the evolution of GreensGrow.
And when you started, you were growing, what, lettuce hydroponically?
That's it. We were growing lettuce hydroponically. We had wholesale customers only, so there just wasn't that. There was a gate between us and the community, and that was the dividing line. And now with the retail operation, with the greenhouse operation, we are really the focal point, the green focal point in this community.
And it doesn't stop there though, because although you have a lot of things that you grow here, there's a lot of other sources of that food that comes to GreensGrow. Talk about that.
Well, we're lucky to be in Philadelphia. We're really at the center of the breadbasket of the Northeast. Some of the most productive growing lands in America are in Lancaster County, which is only about 75 miles to the west of us. What we're able to do is be the bridge between the urban consumer and the rural producer. And the face of the urban consumer is changing all the time. What we're able to do is take that out and make sure that the rural producer, whose face in many ways is exactly the same as it was 40 years ago, understands that there's a different market here and there's a market for different things here. And so what we're able to do is have that dialogue with them to convince them that they can be growing other things. We want to see our rural, regional agriculture economy succeed. Urban farming is not about taking the place of the rural producer. It's about educating the urban consumer to the fact that it's there and it's a blessing. We should be able to take advantage of it.
Right. Now at this point, 10 years into it, have you gotten into a point where each day is rather routine, or is, every day who knows what's going to happen?
Well, I don't think when you're involved with growing there's ever going to be any such thing as every other day or a routine day. There's obviously something else, Mother Nature, that's dictating what every day is going to really feel like. But being in an urban community, having grown the business to the point of having 15, 17 employees, every day is a different day. Every day there's a different customer that walks through the door. Every day there's somebody else that you can educate about urban consumerism, that you can educate about fresh foods. Every day that there's another person who wants to share their story with you, much as you all are doing. They want to share it with us, and we want to help make their visions into realities too.
What motivates you at this point to get out of bed every morning with that same enthusiasm that you had when you first started?
I think the fact that there are new customers, that there's a renaissance of food, that people really want to support a regional food economy, that we understand it a little bit more. The fact that there is all these young people that want to be growers now, they want to be involved, and that we have a place in helping to teach them and to keep the next generation of farming alive, and only to place it in cities.
What amazes me, I know a lot can happen in 10 years, but in this case, you had that blank slate, and then you had to do all that work to get it just to where you could grow vegetables and raise beds.
Right.
But now, fast forward, and we've got this full-service garden center that's serving, an urban community. Talk about how that really impacts the people in this area.
I think the lessons that we're putting out there about sustainability and growing and grow your own food and everything can be lost if there's not the simple entry point, the access point to what that's all about. And in our case here in Philadelphia, we had a whole city with no garden center in the middle of it all. There's exactly 2 nurseries in all of Philadelphia. So there was really a demand. We met people who were saying, I love garden, but I can't get my hands on this, that, or the other thing. And we had an opportunity to build a greenhouse and said, let's go in a different direction, extend our own season, and get into the nursery business. Something about which I knew absolutely nothing whatsoever. But like anything, I figure if I can learn it, then everybody else can.
And then beyond that, you've taken this well past that, thinking outside the box. Beyond a full-service garden center, now you're doing some pretty 21st century things. I mean, you are living sustainability on this 1 acre. Talk about some of those aspects.
Well, we have things like rain barrels, which are important lessons for people to have, but there are also things, we make our own biodiesel. We still sell to restaurants, which is how we got our start. We pick up their used fryer grease when we're making a drop-off of vegetables, bring it back here and turn it into biodiesel, and that completes the circle, because that is the fuel that's driving the truck that's going out to the farm, that's getting the vegetables, that's bringing it back to the people in the city.
Wow.
We have a lot of very traditional things that aren't exactly what you call 21st century. For instance, we raise bees here to make honey from the hood. Honey from the hood being the final product, but what you need is, we need to have pollination, and you're not going to have a natural pollination here in the city. So we've had to introduce that ourselves, introduce the whole idea to this community of having bees be your neighbors and like it.
Green roof technology is hot, hot, hot. And you have all these major corporations trying to implement a green roof on their property. You look behind us and you've got the ultimate urban setting. A Hollywood set designer could not have done a better job, but you have the ultimate living roof.
It is. It's a phenomenal addition, and it's great juxtaposition with the steel and the concrete behind it. But it's as we say, sustainability in action. It's the reason that it's there. It reduces the island heat effect. It reduces the island noise effect, and it's a great stormwater retention, which is very, very important in the cities. All of that rainfall is being taken up to create something that really is a focal point of beauty, really, we think.
Yeah, it really is. And, in addition to the fact that you're inspiring, an adult generation of gardeners with new ideas and 21st century thinking, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what's right before us, the children's garden. How did that come about?
This was really came up from the neighborhood. Some kids in the neighborhood who were interested in the fact that we weren't filled out in terms of this space and what we were doing with it. Somebody brought up the idea of maybe we could get them involved. They came down, they made these great blocks for us. They've really had a hand in what plants have gone into the garden, the general design of it, and it's our hope to open it all up and to make it into a little bit more of a public space for people in the future.
Yeah, and inspiring to children to garden is important no matter where it is, but especially in an urban setting like this where green space is really at a premium.
Absolutely.
Well, Mary, another day, Saturday morning. Is this typical for a Saturday morning here?
Well, it's fall in Philadelphia. We have the farmers market going on. We also have our CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, picking up here. That's some of the people that you see in the background. But today is also our fall festival where we invite everyone from the community, vendors, nonprofit groups to come in and talk about the work that they're doing in the community. And today, because it's part of our fall festival, we also have a kids' corner on the other side of the farm. There's all kinds of activities for the entire family to enjoy. Animals for people to see, face painting is going on, balloon tying, cupcake decorating. We have bees, we have an apple cider press here so that people can see how the apple actually becomes the juice.
And just as importantly, how the apple tastes when it's fresh.
Absolutely.
I love it.
GreensGrow Farm grows a lot of their own produce right in their 1 acre lot. But due to demand, they have to rely on local growers like Norm here.
Great to have you here, Patty.
Thank you so much. We're at Linvilla Orchards, and we're here right in the middle of your apple orchard. Tell me a little bit about the history of Linvilla Orchards.
Yeah, Linvilla Orchards has been here since 1914. We have over 300 acres. It's the 4th generation for the family here, and we really like to help kids and families get in touch with each other about where their food comes from.
How many varieties of apples do you actually grow here?
We have 45 different varieties. We have apples to pick from mid-July to early November, and we always have 8 to 10 varieties to pick from, and a lot more different flavors and textures than you'd find in your local supermarket.
Wow, well, it's not just an apple orchard. You grow a lot of other things here.
Oh yeah, we grow many different crops, and right now we have strawberries, pumpkins, tomatoes, and of course apples.
All right, take me to those pumpkins.
Let's go.
Nothing says fall like a pumpkin festival. How many pumpkins are we looking at right now?
Well, we always try to have at least 100,000 pounds of pumpkins on display here in Pumpkin Land.
Obviously, people can come in October for the Pumpkin Festival. Are you open year-round?
We're open 364 days a year. We start in the spring with our fishing tournament. We continue with our fruit festivals throughout the summer. And we're always known for our famous pies in our farm market.
Yum. So there's so many different things that families can do. And, you know, maybe this time it's pumpkins, but next time it'll be apples or strawberries.
Yeah, pumpkins is definitely what brings the crowds, but seeing the discovery on the kids' faces when they see where an apple comes from, when they pick and taste that first strawberry right out of the field, that's what keeps us coming to work every morning.
Awesome. We are here in the middle of your strawberry field, but it's October. Tell me how we're able to have fresh strawberries right now.
This is the most exciting new crop here at Linvilla this year. It's the Seascape strawberry. We heard about it at the winter fruit meetings in January. Rushed right out, bought 4,000 plants, put them in the ground, and we've been picking strawberries every day since August 1st.
Is that part of the philosophy of Linvilla, to try new things?
We're always trying something new every year. A few years ago, we opened up for cut your own Christmas trees. This year, it's the Seascape strawberry, and next year, we're building a greenhouse.
I think this is a great example of locally grown food and also extending your growing season so that you can have fresh produce that much longer.
I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner out here, so extending the season is always important to me.
One of the latest trends sweeping the country is community kitchens. Now, the concept can apply to many aspects of cooking, from people gathering together to share menus to pooling their resources to save money. And it's no surprise GreensGrow has their own community kitchen at a church just down the street. And the concept is simple. Teach people how to cook and create great meals with fresh, locally grown food.
That's right, Joe. But whether it's a community kitchen or your own kitchen, you're still gonna need stuff like this. Olive oil, salt, black pepper. So where do you go? Well, you come here to your community grocery store. And this is where you're gonna find me, in the perimeter of the grocery store. Now what I mean by that is when you first walk into the grocery store, what do you see? Well, you see fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. As you walk around the grocery store in the perimeter, you start seeing things like dairy, eggs, milk, cheese. Keep going, keep going. There's fish, there's meat, there's grains, there's bread, and you're done. So if you're looking for me in a grocery store, that's where I'm going to be, in the perimeter. But you're thinking to yourself, Nathan, what about organics? Let's take a stroll. Ah, the organic section. Now this is where I hang out on the weekends. You're gonna find me here amongst my friends, the organics. Now, if you're not quite ready to jump in with both feet into all organic, no problem. Because I know a lot of people say, well, organic can potentially be more expensive, but sometimes not. Rule of thumb, if you're thinking about things that you would want to get definitely organic, the things you would eat all the produce, meaning all the apple, strawberry, peaches, nectarines, any of these greens, I go for organic. And there's sometimes things I wouldn't even dream about eating the skin of. Avocado, pineapple, mango, not so much. But what about things like this, like citrus, lemons? And that's where I get you. I do stay organic because I do use the zest in a lot of my cooking, including fish. That was simple. One loop around and I'm done. Perimeter shopping. And when I was shopping, I'm looking for things that are in season. And how do I know? Well, you look up at the signage, product of USA. When things are in season, that means that the nutrition is the highest. It's the most available, so the prices are the lowest. But for me, as a chef, it's the most delicious. Let's make some great food. Then I thought, when Patty was at Linvilla Orchards, she's walking through these beautiful fields of pumpkins and squashes and apples. Well, she got the apples, and Mother Nature, she's a smart woman. She always pairs the foods that work perfectly together. So let's grab this little baby, a butternut squash. It'll go great with the apples that Patty got today at the orchard. You know, nothing quite celebrates the flavors and smells of fall more than a delicious soup. And that's why today, using the apples that Patty got from the farm, I'm gonna make a spiced butternut squash soup with homemade creme fraiche. Delicious, all right? So the first thing we're gonna do, get a little bit of heat, about a medium-low heat, and nothing goes better with these things more than butter, all right? Maybe a tablespoon of butter. May seem like a lot, but it's gonna be a few people drinking this soup, all right? A little bit of butter, medium heat, and oil will also help this out by raising the smoke point, okay? Because butter by its own might burn at a lower temperature. The oil makes it so you can use a little higher temperature. It wouldn't be fall without the smell and taste of fresh sage. And what I did is I took this damp paper towel, wrapped the sage up, put it in a little zippy bag, and by storing it this way in your fridge, it'll last for well over 2 weeks. And that's pretty good bang for the buck, okay? Just a really quick dice on these guys, and we're well underway. And that goes in as well. Now, it wouldn't be a spiced soup, right, without a little bit of heat, a little bit of spice. That's why I'm using cinnamon and a little bit of red pepper flakes. Red pepper flakes for heat, and the cinnamon, that's what gets the kids coming around being like, what's the cinnamon? It's gotta be sweet, and it is. Your kids will love it. A little bit of cinnamon and red pepper flakes. There we go. Just like that. Now we're building on flavor, okay? Let's add some onions. A little bit of caramelization of onions never hurt anybody's soup. Quick dice, and in they go. Now, any sort of like little scrap pieces of herbs and fresh anything you have in a little compost bowl at the end of your day as far as cooking, in they go. It makes things really great, and that compost will help make fresh stuff for next season. Here we go. All right, and these fresh onions. Everybody into the pool. I love that sound. There we go. And with that caramelization, you get a lot of sweet flavors coming from those onions. A little bit of salt, kosher salt, and freshly ground black pepper. And guys, we're off to the races. Smells delicious. All right. Now, it wouldn't be a spiced butternut squash soup, well, without this delicious butternut squash. We have actually in front of us this kabocha squash, this apples that Patty got, acorn squash, and of course this butternut squash right here. So I'm gonna peel this, take out the seeds, dice it, and they go. All right, now the squash is all in there. Give it a quick stir and cover it with all those amazing oils, the smells, the cinnamon, the heat. It's a party. There's a party going on. All right, calm down. We have one more thing that goes in here, is that apple. Remember that beautiful crisp apple that Patty brought back from the farm? We need that in there too. Kids love this part. And I'm not gonna peel the apple either, because to be honest with you, well over 70% of all the fiber is in the skin. We're gonna blend it up and make a soup. Keep that nutrition in there, guys. You paid for it. All right, so the apples go in, the core on the composter. Now there's one more thing we need for this soup. How about some stock, guys? Homemade stock at that. Chicken stock. There we are. And that goes in. Just makes you want to take a warm bath, doesn't it? There we are. Now we'll bring this up to a simmer. It'll simmer for about 30-35 minutes, and that gives us just enough time to clean this whole thing up. All right, so the soup is emulsified with the olive oil and blended up really nicely. One more thing to do, guys. Let's taste it. How are we gonna know? You know the drill, right? 1 spoon for the soup, 1 spoon for me. Goes in just like this. I mean, it's so close, a little more lemon and a touch of salt. Perfect. Let's plate it up. Now the sweetness, of course, comes from the apple and the butternut squash. Fantastic. That warmth, that subtle warmth from the cinnamon. And don't forget about that heat from those red pepper flakes, but that's okay, because we have that wonderful homemade creme fraiche. And you know what? Don't think I have forgotten about telling you about these recipes. Homemade creme fraiche, homemade chicken stock. This recipe and all my other recipes from this show, growingagreenerworld.com. It'll always be there for you. A little freshly ground black pepper. I know Joe loves that. And a ploosh of parsley. There you go, guys. Butternut squash soup, apples, cinnamon, a little bit of heat, delicious. And who wouldn't want a bowl of that when they're out back raking leaves? Delicious.
It's inspiring to see just how much can be accomplished on such a small plot of land. From the nursery to the farm market, the CSA program, and even the community kitchen. Mary and her small but dedicated staff are now touching the lives of so many. It just goes to show you, abandoned land is only unproductive if you choose to leave it that way.
For more information on GreensGrow Farm, visit our website, growingagreenerworld.com.
I'm Joe Lample.
And I'm Patty Moreno.
And we'll see you back here next time for more Growing a Greener World. This is mine.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Right, from a full-service garden center where they grow many of the plants and flowers they sell.
To a city-supported agricultural
Oh, it's raining again. Umbrellas, aisle 2. Hello, clean up aisle 2.